Alright, welcome to episode 3 of the Colossal Kaiju fan podcast, a dish best served cold. And I am your humble host, Sharktopus117, known to you all, the loyal audience, as Sharky. And unfortunately, my good friend Gothic Serpent couldn't join me today, but I have a very suitable replacement. My other good friend, Bamboo Shoots.
Hey, what's up?
So, welcome to the podcast, man. Today we're finally beginning the Fall of Nemesis cast, and we're going to be starting with the two boss kaiju, Nemesis and Ikamasian. We'll get into them individually in a moment, but before we do, I'd like to talk a bit about the story, Bamboo, so if you want to take it away from here for a bit.
Oh, right. Well, the story of Fall of Nemesis is that there are these four beings that are beyond our comprehension, called the Kaijujin, and they aren't gods, but
Gods are
they have
for them.
a whole lot of power and influence over the way things work with Kaiju. The four Kaijujin are... Wait, did we go to Kaijujin already?
No, we haven't. Don't worry.
Oh, we should do that one day.
We should. Oh, don't cut this out, Moth. This is good ground floor stuff that the audience needs
cut out
to
him
see.
saying we shouldn't cut this out.
Yeah,
But yeah.
cut that.
We'll
bit.
do Kaijujin one day, maybe after all the monsters are complete.
That's gonna be a while. Maybe after the Fall of Nemesis cast.
That sounds about right.
All right.
We'll finish the Fall of Nemesis cast off the Kaijujin.
Yeah.
Okay, you just heard our new plans, folks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Ground floor production going on right in front of your ears.
Well,
I mean-
yeah.
So, anyways, so the kaijujin, they're these dudes. There's four of them. They like making kaijus, and what they like to do with kaijus is what anyone else would like to do with kaijus. Is they like to make kaijus fight, right? Because that's the reason we watch kaijus movies. So they kind of have this unofficial tournament thingamadoogie, in which it's very Mortal Kombat, and they just kind of have these kaijus from all around the universe.
Whoever wins climbs up the rank and defeats the champion, becomes the new champion of the Kaijujin and gains all their boons.
Yeah, they get a bunch
Boons
of...
is a funny word.
Boons is a funny word. Like a plethora. Because one might say they have a plethora of boons.
Yeah.
But they do... The champion of the Kaijujin does get like a little boost in all of their stats, right? All four of the main stats. Alright, I thought so. All of their stats that makes them more like difficult to fight and stuff. And this is where the story of Fall of Nemesis begins, in which we have our two champions of the Kaijujin, Nemesis and Ikamasian. Now we'll discuss more about where they fit in to the plot once we get to them individually. But for now, just know they're basically the two main champions they have to worry about in the storyline. So that said, is there anything else that we want to discuss before we jump right into Nemesis, Bamboo?
I would just like to clarify that they're not two champions. There are two champions at different times.
Yes.
Ikamasian was the original Kaijujin champion, and he was undefeated until Nemesis came along. And when Nemesis came along, Ikamasian was finally defeated, and yeah.
Alright.
Ikamasian's just bummed. Lost his career.
Alright, so first we've got Nemesis, who is the titular character of Fall of Nemesis. And she's got this really great design that I love. Her backstory is pretty great. I do really like her. As a matter of fact, all around, I've got to say Nemesis is not only my favorite of the Fall of Nemesis cast, she's probably my favorite American kaiju to be made to date. Bamboo, your thoughts before we talk about her origin and stuff?
Well, I haven't really looked into her that much, which is kind of odd because, I'm kind of the guy on the forums who looks into all that stuff. But I do like her very much so. She's cool, and I have no idea where I'm going with this. Continue, Sharky.
Alright, so her backstory. So, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a galaxy known as Ancient Greece, there was a winged kaiju who would roam the world, and basically, if you did something wrong, she would screw you up, and you would be dead, And yeah, the only problem with this goddess of vengeance, who was named Nemesis, was that she had very high standards for what was right and wrong, and she would basically kill you just for thinking a bad thought. So yeah, that's kind of a problem. Well, anyways, we don't know exactly how, but eventually she was encased in ice in the wilds of Alaska and died, I guess. And in the modern world, they found her DNA, and boom, we had another nemesis. But it wasn't quite that simple, because there's also this little girl named Mygo who got killed by her father, and they used her DNA, combined it with Nemesis for reasons that are explained in the novel Project Nemesis by Jeremy
Buy
Robinson.
now at Kindle App Store.
Here's your free plug. Go buy this novel. Now, all jokes aside, this novel is actually really good, and I do love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I am looking forward to reading the sequel, even though it's already out. I'm a mincy little pot, and I won't read it if it's not a physical copy, and it's only in ebook form at the time of this recording. So once it's in a physical form that I can hold in my hands, I'll buy it and read it, and I look forward to that. But until then, Project Nemesis, good book. And yeah, so Mygo Nemesis DNA combines to form the new Nemesis, which is just an incarnation of awesomeness.
Powers from behind.
Her powers are, she's actually not too many powers, but the powers she does have are really good. She's, good at melee combat. She's good at grappling. She's really agile and strong and powerful. She may seem kind of overpowered from the way we describe her, but keep in mind she is a boss. And although she will be playable like both of the bosses in this game, she is initially designed to be have a slight one-up against the other kaiju. Not enough to make it unbalanced, but enough to make her more challenging.
I think we're all forgetting the most important thing here.
What?
Her blood explodes.
Yeah, she's got
explosive blood.
Yeah, Michael Bay blood.
Do we need to say anything else besides explosive blood?
It's cool. That's just cool.
And she's told like stabs herself in the chest and then like
so that's
blood everywhere.
One of her cooler moves is where she stabs her claws into her chest, causes a gigantic explosion. Of extreme power, anime explosioniness, and it completely annihilates everything in the radius around her. Only drawback to that is, well, she kind of stabbed herself in the chest, so yeah, that's gonna damage. That's gonna damage you, and is kind of an interesting thing. She has another really powerful attack, which is called Divine Judgment, where she grows these wings that reflect the power of the sun.
No, wings may not be included in the final version.
But yeah, that's one problem. Sure. There are no wings. So no, in the book there are wings. In the game, we will not be included.
Well, maybe they'll just be like energy wings or something. We don't know. We haven't played the game, so it's not out yet.
Unless I'm from the future. And I have played the game. No, I'm not. But yeah, I'm totally all for the idea of the energy wings. To me, that's just a beautiful, simple way to get that epic image across without having to make a complex 3D model.
Yep.
With that said, she's got not too much more to her besides the fact that she's, one thing that I think she might be a bit of is a glass cannon, honestly, because she does a lot of damage output. But I don't see much in the way of making her seem very defensive.
Yeah.
Like,
glass cannon may be a good way to describe her.
It seems to me a lot like
explosive blood.
Like, when it seems to me like, and if we're talking with me, where the second I can, I'm probably going to play Nemesis almost exclusively. There are maybe a few other kaiju that I will be playing with a lot. Because, this is the character that I'm going to get behind for sure. This is the character that I'm going to learn how to play and become really good with. So whenever this game comes out, I'll be ready and set to go. But frankly, she is really just so cool. I just love her.
Solid design, solid powers, explosive blood.
I like how her
solid
face,
backstory, everything's pretty solid. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 would use this kaiju again, but I love how her face is like slightly humanoid, but also not. Like it's weird. It looks cool. It's just I can't describe it. You have to look at it. Luckily, since we're
note that her eyes are brown, still showing a sliver of humanity left inside of her.
Yeah, so you guys should
That's
be
an important
have
note. That's a nice detail on Matt's part.
yeah, it is. You should have a image for you guys to look at as we're talking about this and droning on and going off topic and whatnot. So you should know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, just seriously,
Oh,
what's your
Luigi,
problem?
come on! Like, why are you here?
Yeah,
You should know.
just stop and go. But yeah, I love her tail also. How it's got like a trident at the end of it.
Be
Tridents are
good
cool.
for spearing fish.
We need to use more tridents and stuff. I think tridents are a very
And speaking of
underused
spearing seafood,
aesthetic choice. So anyways, trident tail really cool, loving it. But anyways, so Nemesis I'd like to say that she's so far the only kaiju that has been made by, Sunstone Games and and the other people they collaborate with, who I personally believe could defeat Godzilla in a fight. In a fair fight, I think it is possible. Maybe not going to happen. So yeah, just saying, throwing that out there. That's my opinion. There might be one more, but that's kind
okay.
of
This debate would take forever. We're not even getting into that.
So yeah. Anyways, yeah. That's about all I have to say about Nemesis Bamboo. What about you?
Well, I'd like to rebuttal about saying she could defeat Godzilla, but that debate would take a really, really long time.
It would, but it would also ultimately result to I don't know. So, anyways, yeah. That's it for Nemesis. Great kaiju. Freaking love her. All right, so now we have to discuss the next boss of Colossal Kaiju Combat Followed Nemesis, which is Ikamasian. So, Bamboo, if you'd like to give us a brief description of what you think he is before we go into the origin, and then I'll give mine.
Well, Ikamasian is basically an evil genius. He's basically, how do I put this? Doctor Doom, when the Doctor Doom and a squid love each other very much.
Oh my god. All right then. Well, I can't refute that. I have no response to that. It's too right to be wrong, and it's too wrong to be right. So I don't know what to say. So design-wise, he's basically like a Power Rangers villain. Now, this is coming from a guy who hasn't seen that much Power Rangers, and what I did see was when I was like 6. So my memory may be a bit sketchy. But I have some friends who are way into that, and they'll probably confirm that this is basically what a Power Ranger villain looks like. That said, Bamboo, if you'd like to say the origin, go ahead.
Ikamasian was basically the last of his kind. He was a scout for his species called the Azura beings. So he went out, scouted some plants and whatnot, doing the scout stuff, and he came back, and everyone I was basically like, dude, where's my race?
That must be terrible.
So
Like, what if that whole thing was just a clever ruse? What if Ikamasian was like the guy who everybody hated of his species? So all of this was just an elaborate prank on him. Like they were like, "Yeah, why don't you go scout out some planets, buddy?" And then he left, and then they're like, "All right, let's get the hell out of here, guys." And then they all left the planet.
okay, so he was like the last of his species. They ditched him, or they were destroyed, or it's shrouded in mystery, guys. Then he began looking for them, and every planet he visited, he messed stuff up. He stole their energy supplies, caused destruction, grew a little bit more powerful every time. This caught the attention of the Kaijujin, who decided to say, "Hey, this guy is pretty badass. Let's make him our champion." So they made him our champion, and that leads to his eventual defeat by Nemesis. Became Kaijin champion eventually. He was dethroned by Nemesis.
The reason she owned him, and this is actually kind of an interesting thing we should discuss in terms of the morality of the game, is because since Ikamasian had killed so many things throughout his life, like that blood on his hands gave her like extra strength since she is like the
Yeah,
goddess
since she is the goddess of vengeance.
So she was all
and
like, "You're
retribution.
going down, son." So she kind of
She one-shot him.
yeah, basically she just completely ruined him.
Nemesis are
And
overpowered.
once the Kaijujin saw this, they're like, "Oh damn!" So this chick's gonna get more powerful if we let them kill each other. So from now on, just KO each other, no kill. So that way she wouldn't be one-shotting everything that came up to her. So that's why nothing dies
Nemesis
in
DOP.
case. Yeah, now we can continue on with Ikamasian, and I think that's about all we have to discuss about the story, really. At this point is now when just all the other kaiju of the game show up and try to dethrone Nemesis, including Ikamasian, who, he's playable from the start, right? He's one of the 10 kaiju you can play as from the beginning, right? I'm assuming
Yes,
10.
he is.
All right.
10. 10 is correct.
I take
Nemesis, there's 11 in the roster, and Nemesis is the one unplayable at start.
I take some slight issue with that because to me, he seems a little bit OP. Uh, like Nemesis, I think his weaknesses are less clearly defined.
Yep.
I
He regains energy over time, and he uses that energy like to great extent with ranged attacks and mind bullets and all that.
It's just
Mind bullets.
he has he can regain energy by just sucking it out of his opponents whenever he does melee combat. And then he has this.
He also regains energy over time, and then it's like he's a ranged character, so he's going to be using that energy to destroy people. He seems very overpowered, and that makes him wonderful.
And I mean, not only that, but he can also enter a powered up state where his projectile attacks are free to use without any energy cost, which to me is just like, what?
Exactly.
I don't get that. Like, there has to be some sort of cost for that.
Thing, though.
You can't just do that. There has to be some reason. It's not very well defined here on the wiki, which is why I'm looking at. But there's got to be something like you have to lose a health cell to do that, or something like that to make it, balanced. As it is, I don't like it that much because it's kind of overpowered. So, but yeah, his main weapon of doing range damage is the Vorpal Ray, which is, a ray that's Vorpal. It's just kind of, an
Vorpal.
Nothing too.
It's like Vorpal, but more rayish.
He can also manipulate gravity in limited areas, but the wiki is not very specific on what that means. It just says it can pin and stun specific opponents. So, which also seems kind of.
But I think the most impressive thing in his arsenal is his paralyzing eye. And if you notice, it says eye, not eyes, which implies the eye on his belt. So he better do a pelvic thrust whenever he paralyzes.
Yes.
Make sure his paralyzing eye secondary weapon. He does a pelvic thrust whenever he uses it, because that's very important attention to detail right there.
Indeed. So in grappling, as we know, well, he's got tentacles, and tentacles are generally good at grabbing stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen an octopus open a jar of crab. I don't know whatever an octopus opens a jar for, but they can do that and with no problem at all. So tentacles and suckers and stuff, yeah, those help in grappling. And not only that, but he can also suck out their energy and stuff.
Delicious energy juices.
Yeah, energy juices and whatnot. I mean, he's just a vampire, this guy. He's got the cape and everything. His cape kind of annoys me. It's a little goofy to me because
yeah, it's not really a cape. It's more of like the top part of a cape. He doesn't have a cape as just the top part.
It's like
little cowl.
Yeah, it's not even. I don't even know if I would call it a cowl. I don't know. But then again, my definition of the word cowl is the thing that Batman has on his head. So I might be wrong, anyways. But regardless,
let's talk about his personality. He is a ass.
You won't get a Marshall Plan from him. Yeah, he's gonna screw you over.
He's a super villain. He's the classic. It says right. He even referenced Doctor Doom under his animation dog lines. So what more do you have to know?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, anyways, what were we talking about? Oh yeah. So he's a super villain, right? He's the far end of the light dark side. He's the far dark side of that thing.
I'd say he's neutral evil.
Well, I'm just saying comparatively to the Fall of Nemesis cast.
Yeah.
If we're talking about every kaiju that's been made for this game yet, then he's been beat by at least 2, maybe 3. But for Fall of Nemesis, he is at the far end of the evil spectrum. He is he
is the most evil. You will find out why in Fall of Nemesis.
Yes, play the game and find out why, this guy's a bumhole. But yeah, all I can say about this guy, I do like him, but I think he needs a bit more weaknesses. In the wiki, it says that his primary weakness is his pride, which to me seems like a really flimsy excuse when we're talking about a video game character. Because I mean, that's not going to carry over to players. You're gonna need some sort of handicaps in the character itself for that to make sense.
Quick, Duncan, press Y. Tell him he's handsome. So he loses his guard.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it needs something. It needs some sort of handicap. That's the only word I can think of to make it, better. But overall, he is very fitting as a boss character. That said, he is, the M Bison of this game.
And a giant evil space squid's love child.
He is the M Bison or the Shao Kahn of this game. He's our main fighting game villain. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He burns down orphanages for fun. He on top of that, he will drink your last beer. He's a real bumhole. Alright, so those are the two boss characters for Fall of Nemesis. I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion about them. I hope you guys found it informative, and if you have any other opinions, please leave a comment below in the YouTube section. If you are a member of the forums, you can also post a comment in our podcast thread there, and give us your opinions on that as well. Next episode, we will be discussing the first two of the basic kaiju who have no big story importance and are just main characters that you will be able to play as. Our next episode shall be devoted to Tornak and Katyusha.
So long, farewell, bye-bye for now.
All right, this is the Colossal Kaiju Fan Podcast. I'm Sharky, he's Bamboo, and I'm Sharky, signing off.